who are you and what do you do?
I'm Safia Hibbert. I'm an HR professional who has been in the field for a little over a decade. I started out in benefits. I also have experience in employee and labor relations, training and development, HRIS, and recruitment. Having worked in all the different areas of HR, I can say that employee engagement is my favorite, which falls under the umbrella of employee relations. Currently, I'm working in higher education for a private institution as an HR generalist. And with everything happening in the world right now, I think what I'm focusing on is learning how to leverage technology so that I can better serve the employees as we all work to this remote workforce.
And how did you get your first job in HR?
I was getting ready to graduate with my undergraduate degree in criminal justice, and the intentions with that degree was to pursue working in correctional services, focusing on working with troubled youth, like a juvenile probation officer. And that degree was actually inspired by my community, by things that I was seeing happening with young people in my community. And I figured I can go to school and try to help. And while on the quest for employment, I decided to take a civil service exam for CUNY office assistant and passed the exam, attended a job pool, interviewed with several different schools, was informed that one of the schools wanted to extend an offer. I accepted the offer as a CUNY office assistant. And through that, I was hired into my first HR position as a benefits assistant.
And once you became a benefits assistant, it didn't just stop there. You developed this entire career in HR. In order to do that, you have to take a lot of steps successfully. So can you talk to us about some of the tangible steps that you took to continue growing your career?
Absolutely. I think one of the steps was definitely making sure that I was well-rounded in every area of HR. So I knew that I was in benefits, but there were also different areas. So I also explored working in employee and labor relations, training and development, working with HRIS, constantly developing myself, going to conferences, learning as much as I could, because I knew that once I understood the way that everything worked and how it intertwined, I would have a better understanding of HR overall. So definitely getting an understanding of different areas of HR as well as furthering my education. I had a really great mentor at the time who was an alumni of the MSILR program at Baruch. And he had mentioned to me that it was such a great beneficial program. He had, shared with me his experience and the way that he's moved up. And I thought that that might be something that I wanted to explore. So I did. I attended the master's program at Baruch for industrial and labor relations. In addition to that, I've done a lot of certification courses. The first certification course I ever took was in HR fundamentals. So at Baruch College, the School of Continuing and Professional Studies, I decided to, take as much courses as I can, as well as getting certified through the Society for Human Resources.
Hey, that's really good to hear. So it sounds like there's definitely this continued path of learning and then also mentorship of people help point you in the right direction. And you had mentioned, HRIS as it's almost as a skill once you learn how to use a great HRIS. What are some other skills that you've learned that you'd say have really helped you along your career journey?
I think one of the most important skills is learning how to navigate different communication styles. When I was in the MSILR program at Baruch for my HR management course, we took the DISC profile, the DISC assessment. And what that basically did was it taught you about yourself based on the DISC, which is dominance, influence, steadiness, and conscientiousness, which is what I remember at the time it's standing for. And that basically taught you how to navigate relationships and how to adjust your tone and your setting to get the most out of a situation, to be as productive as you can when working in a group or in a business deal, negotiations.
And when it comes to the tool side of things, so the technology side of human resources and the work you do, what are some of your favorite tools? Like, I know some people have mentioned like Workday as a tool that they love, or just like having a good understanding of Excel.
So one of my favorite tools for, I guess, the past 3 years is a reference checking system that we use at my current organization called Skill Survey. And what that does is we send it to the candidates, and then once it's completed by the references, we get a comprehensive report that breaks down the candidates' competencies and provides predictive analytics. So, and the turnaround time is 1 to 2 days. So that's pretty much been one of my favorite tools. In addition to that one, we use Job Elephant, which is connected to our applicant tracking system. And what that is used for is to help us with diversity targeting, diversity postings. And it provides us with information on how well a particular site is doing based on data that they received that tracks the return on investment as well as the value.
Oh, super interesting. Yeah, I mean, always cool learning about new tools. And if you're watching this video, the chances are we'll have links to those tools within the description below, just so you don't have to go search for it via Google, and it'll make it a little bit easier. And, you know, you seem like you enjoy HR a lot, and anytime you're within a career for a length of time, chances are it's because you really do enjoy it. So can you talk to our audience, which is people looking to break into HR, as well as people who are looking to become HR generalists, about what goes into picking an HR job that's going to make you happy?
I think this is more of a self-reflection question. I think the first thing to think about is just, what do you enjoy doing, right? So there are, you know, some positions that are more client interaction, and then there are others that are more back office staff. So I think first starting with figuring out where you see yourself and where you feel most comfortable and what brings you the most joy is a good place to start. I think once you know that, then you can start looking at roles within different areas of HR. So there's employee relations, there's benefits, you know, training and development. Out of these different areas of HR, which one do you feel that you gravitate to, that when you're working there, you'll feel that you have passion to keep this thing going? So I think definitely starting with narrowing down the different fields and which one gives you the most sense of drive.
And I think part of that is also having a good understanding, or at least some understanding, of where the world of HR is at today, which will help you make that decision. And as we know, what it is today may not always be what it is in the future, just from the last 10 years and how much HR has changed over that period. And obviously in the last year alone, there's been some significant changes. Can you talk to us about the future of where you see HR is going, whether that be industries, tools, communication?
I definitely think we're moving to a more remote workforce. I know a lot of organizations, with everything that's happening now, a lot of organizations are hybrid. but majority of them is moving to a more remote workforce. So I think right now it's about like leveraging technology to figure out how do we better connect with and how do we better serve the employees.
And let's say someone wants to step in your shoes and become an HR generalist. Mm-hmm. They may face certain hurdles in the workplace, whether that has to deal with communication, maybe it's making their position known to the people around them. What are some of these common hurdles that HR professionals will face trying to step into that role? And what are the solutions to solve them?
I think for depending on the organization you're in, the hurdles are going to change because every organization has their own unique issues that they're identifying and issues that they're trying to work through. So, I mean, some hurdles, given the times that we're in now, I would say financial hurdles, possibly there's no budget to move forward with implementing new software, or maybe you're unable to use software to its full potential because of the lack of budget. There could be other hurdles such as leadership. There could be hurdles, lack of direction. I mean, that varies based on every industry and every organization. And the way that you overcome it, whether it's financial or leadership, is by always remaining solution focused. I think if you stay solution focused and you're able to see big picture, I think you will not become distracted by things that can consume your energy or your time in a negative way.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think, at all times you should be asking yourself, how do I become a resource? So we can be more productive. And I love the phrase solution oriented. It's so true. It's almost a skill set you have to adopt and of its own, and just incorporate that into your thinking. Now, a lot of people are asking themselves who are watching this video, is an HR generalist position right for me? What are some signs that the position may be the right position for them? They may be picking among several different positions in HR to go to, but what makes sense if you're trying to become an HR generalist?
I think after you've passed the stage of looking at the job ad and envisioning yourself there, I think once you're on the interview is when you can tell, because that'll give you a glimpse into the organization that you're working for. And then you have an opportunity to find out more basics about the position, what it entails, the possible path that you could be on. But I think the overall sign of knowing if an HR generalist position is for you is if it works out. I mean, I know that that's very simple, but if it works out, then that's a sign that it's for you.
Yeah, I think, a big thing that I've learned is to sort of have to put your feet in there to know if the water's going to be cold or warm, right? So you have to test it out. You can't just read about it. It's something that you have to go and try to an extent in order to know if it's right for you. So very much like on the same point there. And before we go, is there any other advice that you have for the students watching?
Absolutely. I know that right now, with everything going on, you're probably feeling a bit discouraged. I have hope. I believe that if you remain persistent and just keep trying and not giving up, eventually you will get where you need to go. Rejection is going to come. That's just part of life. Don't be discouraged by rejection. Always remember to operate from a place of action and not fear. And, it's a competitive market. So I would say to market yourself, And I know like self-promotion may not always come easy for everyone, especially if you have more of like an introvert personality type, but you definitely want to be persistent. You want to market yourself in the right way, and just don't give up. Just continue to, apply for positions, continue to even work in positions that you may not necessarily currently get the most out of, but just know that eventually you'll get to where you need to go, and all the experiences in the past is what's going to help you to get there.
Very true. And I'm very happy that we can end on that note. And if students want to get in touch with you, can they connect with you on a place like LinkedIn?
Absolutely.
So you'll see in the description below her LinkedIn profile, and you can connect with her there. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. It was wonderful hearing your answers to these questions, and we'll rock and roll from here.
Thank you so much, Josh.